Immigrants coming to the United States can feel very alone when they arrive. Narmeen Chaudhry has the new tool helping them make connections.
Let's face it, being a new immigrant in a foreign country can be daunting and downright scary.
Moving abroad is a brave step, leaving everything behind, dealing with new challenges, and doing it all by myself.
But now there's an app for that, one that suddenly helps newcomers feel not so alone, beginning with two simple questions. What country are you originally from, and where do you live now? And suddenly you're connected with others just like you.
It was clear to us that we want to be the de facto product for every immigrant in the world. We start in the U.S.
Ron Harnevo is the co-founder and CEO of Homies. And no, that's not a typo. In an easy-to-use format, the app almost seems too good to be true.
Our vision is to build a better internet for immigrants.
From finding a home, a roommate, a friend, comfort food from your homeland, a doctor, legal help, or even a job, it's all here. Harnevo is an immigrant himself, arriving to the U.S. from Israel. He says he considers himself to be a somewhat privileged newcomer, and even still says life was tough to navigate.
Really, I think that if I ask you what home is, it's a very easy question. But if you ask me what home is, I don't know, like it's a big question, almost philosophical if you ask immigrants.
It is a common struggle and one faced by Alfonso Felix when he immigrated to the States from Mexico as a college and grad student, until he came across a targeted Homies ad on another social media page.
It was very unique. Like, I never seen an app designed for Mexicans in the U.S. So just by that, it grasped me, right? It's for me.
The app's job center even helped connect Felix to this internship. Harnevo says he's dreaming big, connecting one immigrant community at a time.
The whole ethos of this country was come, and suddenly something changed, and I think it made our mission more relevant.
Narmeen, thank you. Now, most parents have been there. Your kid gets a new toy, only to lose interest days later. Well, tomorrow we're going to take a look at how toy libraries are popping up all over the country, giving kids endless excitement without a big cost.
All right, we got some snow showers to get through tomorrow morning. After that, our forecast is improving. We'll have a high of 38 on Friday. We're into the 40s on Saturday. Sunshine even returning on Sunday, and that'll get us to 53. And then we are well into the 50s and dry on Monday. Thanks for joining us here on the Now Indy. The news at 6 starts right now.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
I think this is getting a lot of attention, and understandably, there's a lot of concern around the globe.
More cases of the coronavirus impacting people in the United States. So we go to health experts to see how they're preparing for the possible cases here and what you can do to protect yourself.
Snow potential. Headlines, my forecast for tomorrow morning. The timing and how much coming up.
Giving more babies a chance at life. I'm Stephanie Wade, speaking with one mother who's pushing for adding more newborn screenings.
John Andretti has passed away after a long battle with cancer. He raced in Indy 500s and Brickyard 400s. Sports director Dave First joins us with a look back at John Andretti's life.
Good evening to you at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino.
The World Health Organization just declared the coronavirus a global emergency. It has spread to the United States, and hospitals are preparing for the possibility of coronavirus popping up here in central Indiana.
RTV6's Nicole Griffin shows us how local medical professionals are working to keep you safe and what you need to know to protect yourself.
And understandably, there's a lot of concern around the globe.
As cases of the coronavirus are spreading, the infection control team at Franciscan Health in Indianapolis is getting prepared.
We actually have had a scenario that played out that we were concerned enough to implement some of those types of precautions with our staff. So that was actually a really good sort of dry run, if you will.
Dr. Christopher Doring says the patient ended up having the flu, but if someone comes into the hospital with a fever, cough, or complains of shortness of breath, all symptoms of the coronavirus, they will go through a screening process.
We'd have some key historical questions, one of which is, have you been in that area of China? But the other would be, have you been around someone who is confirmed to have the illness?
Franciscan Health is prepared to isolate patients suspected of having the coronavirus. During treatment, hospital staff would be required to wear a face mask and eyewear.
But at this point, that's really a remote risk in our community.
While they are taking precautions here at Franciscan Health, doctors say here in central Indiana, we should all be more concerned about cases of the seasonal flu.
You know, we've had a few dozen deaths in central Indiana from the flu this year around the country, I think nearly 10,000. And so as far as the here and now, what we really need to be concerned about and more focused on is still the flu season.
Dr. Doring says it's not too late in the season to get your flu shot. In order to protect yourself from the flu or coronavirus, wash your hands often, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, and ultimately avoid contact with anyone who is sick. Working for you on the South Side, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
And according to the Indiana State Department of Health, there are no confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Indiana. A patient in Porter County is in isolation being monitored as doctors wait for test results from the CDC. In Chicago today, the first U.S. case of person-to-person spread of the virus has been confirmed.
Now moving to the weather, cloudy skies around central Indiana. Nothing is falling from those clouds yet, but snow could be on the way for your morning drive. I am with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. So, Kevin, what could impact the snow bring on us tomorrow?
I think an inch or less, but as you mentioned, it includes the morning drive, especially south of Indy. So that's one of the ingredients that can create some issues. 34 in Muncie. Temperature down in Bloomington made it to 41 today. You had a little sunshine poke through, and you see a little brighter patch there. It won't be until Sunday that we really get some bright sunshine, but that is in the forecast. Okay. This headlines the talk for tomorrow morning. Light snow, and that's the word to keep in mind. Light snow. 1 o'clock in the morning, cloudy sky. Watch the blues of the snow show up at 6 a.m. Most likely at 6 a.m. from Sullivan to Bloomington and Columbus and Greensburg south. It drifts a little more to the north by the time we get to 10 a.m. Terre Haute to Indy to south of Muncie, and then by 1 switching to or mixing with some rain as it slides to the east. I think the greater potential for light accumulating snow will be to the south. Bedford could see an inch right at that at Seymour, and then as you come north toward the metro area of Indianapolis, certainly under an inch.
3 people are hurt after a shooting at a warehouse on the northeast side. IMPD says 2 men and a woman were shot at a warehouse off of Shadeland Avenue and East 32nd Street around 2 this afternoon. Investigators tell us that it appears 2 men. In an argument, shots were fired, and a total of 3 people were hurt, including a woman. We will continue to follow this story and bring you any new information right here on RTV6, on our website, theindychannel.com, and the RTV6 app. A man charged in connection to the 2018 murder of Boone County Deputy Jacob Pickett will spend 48 years in prison. 23-year-old John Ball was sentenced today in Boone County Superior Court. Investigators say Ball did not shoot Pickett, but they say he did supply the gun to Anthony Baumgart that was used in Pickett's death in March of 2018. Last year, Baumgart pled guilty to Pickett's murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Ball originally faced a murder charge, but in a plea deal, the murder charge was dropped, and Ball pled guilty to drug-related charges and providing a firearm to an ineligible person. Again, Ball has been sentenced to 48 years in prison.
There's only one test recommended by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that Indiana does not screen newborn babies for, but one lawmaker is trying to change that. RTV6's Stephanie Wade speaks with a local mom whose kids have the deadly genetic disease, who is now pushing for the test to be added to the state's newborn screening panel.
It's devastating. It's devastating.
Autumn Ford had never heard of adrenoleukodystrophy before. Not many have. Only 1 in 17,000 people are born with it. Living in Connecticut at the time, the state had just added the deadly genetic disease to its newborn screening panel. When her 4th child, Shepherd, was born,
he was the first one that came up with it. And then we tested his older brother, Ransom, and he had it.
Now grappling with the fact that both her boys and one of her girls were carriers of ALD.
I cried because to me it was a death sentence.
The disease that most severely affects boys.
My favorite game is Angry Birds.
You go on Google, and you get worst case scenario. You see all the pictures of the boys dying and their moms.
It causes them to lose all neurological functioning, sight, vision, ability to hear, until eventually they're in a vegetative state and ultimately die.
They think it's ADD, let's treat ADD. Let's get him glasses. Maybe he needs a hearing aid. And by the time you get to the point where you know it's bigger, because now you're having eyesight and hearing problems, it's bigger than this. It's most of the time too late.
The problem is, Ford says, Indiana doesn't screen for ALD at birth. It's actually the only test recommended by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Our state doesn't screen for, so families have no way of knowing until it progresses too far.
I'm walking around in grocery stores and I see little boys, and I'm like, he could have it, and they don't know.
But State Representative Ryan Lauer is trying to change that.
If we catch it early, they can have a full and normal life. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish this session with the bill on ALD, is protecting our newborn infants.
There's hope because you get to know ahead of time that they have it. You get to screen for it. You get to MRIs, blood work. You know, you get to keep them safe. They have a chance now.
Working for you.
It needs to happen. It has to happen.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Well, that bill passed unanimously out of the House. Now it's being considered in the Senate. We'll keep you updated as to if it makes its way through the State House. A group of Indiana lawmakers is trying to improve the state's maternal mortality rate, which is currently third worst in the country. Indianapolis Representative Vanessa Summers launched the Maternal Health Caucus today, which will study and present solutions to improve and save Hoosier women's lives. Summers, a Democrat, said some Republicans have signed on to the caucus and are expected to be a part of that. She said one key point of the caucus will be informational, as it's important for doctors to listen to their patients' problems.
There's a lot of other things that we have to do, which is education-based, which is what we have to tell our doctors need to know. They need to go through a round of cultural competency. They need to just, when I say listen, that is the easiest thing, is to listen to what's going on with the woman and not think that you know better than her.
The caucus is expected to present new legislation beginning with the 2021 legislative session.
We are working for you, continuing to dig into a case about residents being evicted from a West Side mobile home park. We are learning some people who live at I-70 mobile home park are now receiving payments for the mobile home units they own, but are being forced out of next month. One resident told us she got a $1,200 check from the Indiana Attorney General's office this afternoon. This payment arrives more than 5 months after residents were told in late August that they would have to leave the property by October 15th. The eviction was halted following a series of reports filed by RTV6. The Indiana Attorney General's office issued a restraining order against the mobile home park's landowners. That restraining order stopped the notice to vacate until each resident either received payment for their unmovable mobile homes or the vehicle title to the mobile home.
The AG showed up and give people checks that were home. If they're not home, they'll come back tomorrow, and the next day they said try to give them all checks for their houses. It helped out a lot because I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. I was like, I might spend all my Social Security check on a place to live.
Residents tell us that employees from the Attorney General's office plan to return tomorrow with more payments. The Attorney General's office says the residents have until February 21st to leave I-70 mobile home park. And if you have a problem and you cannot get answers, let us help. Email us at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
A Tri-West High School teacher accused of sexual misconduct with a student will appear at court next week. The preliminary hearing for Tyler Bruce is scheduled for February 5th in a Hendricks County court. He's charged with child seduction and obstruction of justice. Bruce is now on unpaid suspension as the school district moves forward to fire Bruce. Former Tri-West principal Adam Benner is due in court on March 3rd. Now, Benner is charged with failure to make a report of allegations of child abuse to law enforcement or to the Department of Child Services. He received a summons to appear in court and will not be arrested at this time. The failure to report charge is a misdemeanor. Benner has not issued a statement on the charge.
A member of one of the most legendary racing families who competed many times at Indianapolis Motor Speedway has passed away.
Yeah, former IndyCar and NASCAR driver John Andretti has lost his long battle with colon cancer. He passed away at the age of 56.
As RTV6 Sports Director Dave First shows us, John Andretti was much more than a race car driver. Dave.
That is definitely the case, guys. Thanks. Good evening. John Andretti, he was about winning. Luckily for anyone who crossed paths with him, His winning attitude was taken to more places than just the racetrack. Part kindness, part generosity, and a legacy of helping kids was unmatched. If you were looking for John Andretti, the best place to find him was at a racetrack. He started karting at the age of 9 and in a sprint car by the time he was 20.
Are you going to use this as kind of a stepping stone toward bigger things in racing, maybe like Mike and Mario up in the Indy cars, or do you want to go any farther in racing?
Oh, sure, I want to go, hopefully all the way to the top.
By the age of 25, with his father Aldo at his side, he was there.
And the Gold Coast IndyCar Grand Prix goes to John Andretti.
His kart win came at Surfers Paradise in 1991. And at Indy, he ultimately ran in 12 Indy 500s, including races in 1991 and 92, where he ran against Mario and cousins Michael and Jeff.
I think we're always fighting to be better than the next one in the family, and that's something that keeps us all honest, as we say, where you just want to be better and better.
After doing double duty in 1994, racing in Indy and then Charlotte the same day, he may have ultimately found his most success in NASCAR, beating the likes of Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon to win for the legendary Cale Yarborough at Daytona in 1997.
I'd like to thank RCA, Goodyear, Ford, and all the people that have been involved. I mean, Cale Yarborough, put a lot of faith in me.
2 years later, he won it for the great Richard Petty at Martinsville.
I told them boys, I said, we need to make a habit out of this.
But eventually, races became few and far between. He began to do a variety of appearances, including as an analyst for Trackside 6.
You've been great to us the entire weekend.
He also began something called the Race for Riley. Visits to Riley Hospital for Children meant so much, touched by the power of perseverance, followed by karting events, which raised big bucks over the many years.
This thing's getting bigger and bigger every year. I would imagine in a couple of years we'll have it at the Speedway. Is that right?
Well, the Speedway wanted us to come, but, we, not really. I mean,
But then came the devastating news in January of 2017. Stage 4 colon cancer. He said he never got checked, never had a colonoscopy, and all he could think about was his wife, Nancy, daughters Olivia and Amelia, and son, Jared.
Is this more difficult to watch in your family than it is for you to deal with this?
It's way harder to watch because it's unfair to them. I've said it several times. It's unfair to them that I'm even in this condition because this could have been prevented. Now, for me to go through it, it's my own fault. It's because I didn't get checked. I didn't get screened soon enough.
Do you blame yourself?
I do.
Night.
I do because I don't know why, but I do.
Just last year, John wrapping up his 23rd race for Riley and checks totaling around $550,000, all despite a number of clinical trials to battle his cancer.
You just got to keep going. The more you push, and even if it's hard to push, you got to just do it because it takes your mind off it. Like today, I'm having a great day.
John Andretti had plenty of great days, battling on and off the track. Without question, the spirit of an Andretti, every step of the way.
You can sit and mope and do all the things you want to do that you think that you would expect to do. None of that's happened to me. I mean, and a lot of it's because of my family around me. They just, if you do, you're losing, and nobody in this family wants to lose.
We are certainly thinking of Nancy and the kids tonight. As for his race for Riley, add up all the contributions, and it totals nearly $5 million. Who knows how many lives he's touched well beyond the sport he loves so dearly, guys.
So many, Dave. Thank you. And tonight, the Scorling Pylon at Indianapolis Motor Speedway is lit up in honor of John Andretti, who spent so much time at the Speedway for IndyCar and NASCAR events, as Dave mentioned. Again, John Andretti has died after a long battle with colon cancer. He was 56 years old. Still ahead tonight here on RTV6, a big announcement from IndyCar driver Tony Kanaan. He's scaling back on the track in 2020, which will be his final year in the IndyCar series. You'll hear from him next.
And temperatures up and away. Not right away. We've got some snow tomorrow morning. Then we'll make some progress. But look at early next week. Will any of this warmth come with sunshine? We'll talk about that next.
Gold Day.
This This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
And it's 18 minutes after 6, another cloudy day. So I went to Facebook. I said, send me a picture of sunshine, any picture from any day. And you responded, Freddie, thanks. It's good to know we can still get that blazing sun and good-looking sunsets. And this is from Jenny, downtown Canal. That's near the fire station 13 at Ohio and West Streets. And I like this foreshadowing because you see the grill in the foreground. Bill sent this in. There'll be days ahead where you can fire up the grill once again. For us, it's about snow in the morning, especially south of Indy. I think that will impact the morning drive and some of the buses on the roadways. 30 degrees is the temperature. By the time we're coming home in the afternoon, should not be a factor, melting, and 38 degrees, the temperature. As you look at the timeline here, we go through the overnight. The clouds are in place. 6 a.m. again. You're not waking up right away to any snow in Indy. As long as you're up at 6 a.m. Terre Haute, Bloomington, Greensburg South, the most likely spot for snow. You see that drifts to the Interstate 70 by the time we get to 9 a.m. Then by noon, from Bloomington to Indy, Muncie, kind of the back edge of the very light snow. And at that point, maybe mixing with some rain to the south, that will scoot to the east in the early afternoon hours and move into the Buckeye State by the evening hours. I showed you specifically detailed to the south where you may see just a little bit more snow. To the north, not much at all. Central Indianapolis, half an inch ballpark, but we'll just not get too cute with it and just say an inch or less from Interstate 70 to the south. Okay, morning snow around, afternoon, lots of clouds, temperatures warm to about 37 for the high. Don't forget, whenever we've got active weather, Storm Shield app is free for your smartphone and the RTV6 app as well. Very helpful. Temperatures warming up. 43 Saturday, Sunday, you really feel the difference. The best part of Sunday, that's Groundhog Day, by the way, and I think we'd like to repeat Sunday over and over and over for a while. 53 will come with sunshine. Temperatures as we move into early next week will be a little warmer than that. Saturday forecast temperature by the time we get to noon, 37. The chance of any rain snow mix in the morning, just about 20%. Here's your 7-day planner, and you'll see what happens here. Temperatures peak on Monday at 57, still dry. Chance of rain and 55 with falling temperatures late Tuesday, and much different at Wednesday and Thursday with temperatures back into the upper 30s for highs and a slight chance for rain snow mix.
So you want to repeat Sunday? Sunday.
Yes.
All right. That's the day, 53 degrees. Thanks, Kevin, for that. IndyCar fan favorite and RTV6 driving analyst for the month of May, Tony Kanaan, has announced 2020 will be his last season in the series.
Kanaan made that announcement today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 2020 will be his 23rd season in open-wheel racing. He will race on 5 ovals this year, including the Indy 500.
Again, this will be Kanaan's final season in the IndyCar series, but he's still looking forward to getting behind the wheel for AJ Foyt Racing and for whatever comes after this year.
Excited for the future, you know, the unknown, what's going to happen, opportunities that will come, and we'll see. I mean, still have a job to do. I still get to race in this place, and, you know, 5 more, and we'll see what's going to happen.
Kanaan says there will always be a chance he could come back and run future Indy 500s. He'll be celebrating this season on social media with hashtag TK's Last Lap. We're back with a final look at weather and our RTV6 photo of the day next.
Fees? That's the BMO effect.
It's time for the RTV6 photo of the day, and I love it. Thanks to David Huntress for sending in this incredible picture.
He got a great shot of a male cardinal and a house sparrow sitting on a tree branch at Eagle Creek Park.
A house sparrow. You make it sound so common.
I was wondering what you're laughing about over there.
Such a clear photo there, showing great birds, those in great detail there, like best buddies.
I love it. Kevin didn't even realize that it was 2 birds in that photo. Well, we want to see your photo of the day. Email it to news@WRTV.com. If we select your picture, it will air here on the News at 6. That email again is news@WRTV.com.
If you've had water in your bird bath at home that's frozen over, that will melt as we go along. Is that a good enough transition from the bird?
Works for me.
Yeah.
30 with some light snow potential, especially south of Indy. First thing in the morning, 38 and dry for all later in the afternoon.
You just don't want birds frozen in the water.
No.
That's a bad. Yeah. See you at 7.